Alright, everyone knows that college can be a large financial burden to some families, and the high prices for classes, along with textbooks that cost the same amount it seems, leads to the question of why are textbooks so expensive. This fact that students pay outrageous prices for books, and most classes require an access code hindering students from being able to buy used books, has been a large controversy in universities around the country. Today, I will address whether or not universities should revert back to only requiring a textbook for class, allowing the students to save money by purchasing used books, and will hopefully persuade you that they should. In order to do this, we will look at the average cost of books for a semester before online access codes, the current price of books with the access codes, and the effects this can have overall on the 4-year total. In order to establish a foundation for our argument, we have to first look back at textbook prices before the access code was required. In an August 26, 2004 hearing on Capitol Hill, representatives brought up the increasing prices of textbooks. According to a write-up of the hearing named Congress Questions Sky-High Cost of College Textbooks by Orchovsky Peggy, Black Issues in Higher Education, Volume 21, Issue 14, states, reports showing that in 2002 to 2003, the average college student at a 4-year university paid nearly $900 a year for textbooks, and an increase of 3.4% over the last 7 years at that time. Before the introduction of access codes, the effect of rising prices was being seen simply in the actual paper book prices increasing. Another excerpt from the August 26, 2004 hearing on Capitol Hill states, a new book costs on average $102.44, while the average cost of a used book is $64.80, an increase of 33% since 1998. Now that we have talked about the drastic price increase in textbooks 2 decades ago, before access codes were even thought of, we will now discuss the new average cost of textbooks with the access code. In many classes, an online access code is required to allow students to do online homework and to do more in-depth things that allow students to learn better. In theory, this is a great idea, but has become a marketing scheme for companies that produce the books and hinder students from being able to rent used books because the access code in many cases is required, and you can only get the access code with brand new books. While college professors now require students to purchase access codes for their class, an even heavier burden has been placed on the students. In an article in the New York Times by Ann Carnes, a new cost at college digital access codes stated that in 2015 to 2016, the average cost of textbooks was just under $1,300 a year. Students can agree that access codes can be very beneficial to gaining a better understanding of what you're learning, but this should be included in the already skyrocketing prices of books that we have to pay for. Personally, as a student who is paying their own way through school, I don't agree with being forced to buy access codes. Publishing companies make it required to pay more for a textbook that includes the access code when the access code includes an online textbook version. Now that we have talked about the current expenses of textbooks for students, we will now discuss the effects this can have over the 4 years a student is in school. The economic impact on students caused by high textbook prices, along with rising tuition rates, has increased drastically in just 3 decades. College textbook prices have increased faster than tuition, healthcare costs, and housing prices, all of which have risen faster than the rate of inflation. Textbook prices and the rate of tuition are one of the fastest growing markets today, and unfortunately has been since the 1970s. According to an AE Ideas blog posted by University of Michigan economist Professor Mark J. Perry, the 812% increase in the price of college textbooks since 1978 makes the run-up in house prices and housing bubble in the 2000s seem rather inconsequential. The total cost of school has risen astronomically since the 1970s and has continued to rise to date. In a study done by Rita J. Kirstein, PhD, Managing Director at the American Institutes for Research Delta Coast Project at American Institutions for Research, stated that in 1970 the average yearly tuition was $358 for public 4-year universities and $1,561 for private 4-year institutions. She goes on to say that in 2010 the average tuition was just shy of $6,700 for a public four-year university and just shy of $22,000 for a private four-year university. This being the case, before coming to a conclusion on whether access codes should or should not be required, you must first look at the prices before access codes were required, after access codes were introduced, and the financial effects this has on students over the four-year term. When looking at each of these points, it becomes obvious that students shouldn't be required to purchase online access codes. The already high burden of tax or tuition rates, combined with the ever-rising cost of textbooks, could cause students who are less privileged to be forced to take out even more loans or even drop out. Students for decades were doing perfectly fine without these newfound access codes, and new students shouldn't be punished by companies that just want to maximize profits by forcing students into a corner. Ultimately, students will have to continue to put up with the rising textbook prices until the right people decide enough is enough and decide to take a stand and represent the student body on the issue. Thank you.